We are building for like small businesses today, right? Small businesses globally account for 70% of employment, accounts for like 50% of GDP of the world, right? But they've never had the tools to sort of really express themselves because like there are a million niches in small businesses. But for the first time with AI, you can actually serve all of these million niches at zero marginal cost. And that's what we're trying to enable.
Hi, my name is Carly, and I'm on the Applied AI team here at Anthropic, specifically working with startups. Today, Mukund has joined me. He is the CEO and co-founder of Emergent. So Mukund, let's bring it back to the beginning. Emergent's growth has been one of the standout stories of this year. Why don't you walk me through your journey with YC, some of your pivots, and how you landed on the product that you have today?
Thank you for having me here. Super excited to be here. So I'm doing this startup with my twin brother, Madhav, and I actually started programming at age 12.
Love it. We love sibling founders here.
Totally. And we actually have been obsessed with this problem of automating software engineering from the beginning. Before this, I was running a startup called Dunzo, where I had a 500 people engineering team. And when we entered YC, our first sort of insight was to automate software testing. Because I had seen at Dunzo that how software testing was the bottleneck for shipping software fast. And we started with this problem of how do we automate all of the software testing, including mobile apps, web apps. And when we sort of started building that out, we realized that to automate testing, we had to build our own container technology, our own coding agents. Yeah. And we stumbled upon this insight that if you can actually solve for the verification loop, you can actually make agents run longer. On the day one, we told our YC partners that, hey, testing is great, but we want to now build general coding agents. We were almost like an applied research lab working, just building high production grade quality agents. Invented a bunch of things like test time compute, how do we sort of scale the memory across agents, how do we solve for agent-to-agent communication. We were one of the first team to productionize multi-agent systems. When we launched, our first approach was to go to enterprise. Yeah. We had an enterprise customer, started working with them, but realized that the adoption in enterprise is going to be slow. At the same time, we started using these internal coding agents to build everything internally. In fact, there were few non-technical people on the team who were using it more than developers were at that point. And we truly realized that the power is actually to democratize software engineering for everyone. And that's when we, in June, launched this almost like a research preview. And that time, agentic coding was not that popular. And when we launched, it just took off. And we were actually surprised. Everybody else at that time was building for front-end heavy applications. They were building for more demo kind of things. And we had fundamentally approached the problem thinking that what would it take for actually anybody to ship production-ready software that will actually have real use cases, will have business-critical apps running. And our insight was to sort of automate all of this testing, linting, deployment, security. How do you solve for code reviews? And that actually really resonated with users because most of the users that were coming to Emergent today are serious builders. These are small businesses, entrepreneurs who actually want to see an economic value from the software getting built.
Yeah, that's awesome. So it's basically democratizing. It's taking natural language. It's for non-software engineers, but it's also building durable products. Right. It's not just for prototyping. It's really cool. So you've been building on Claude since the really early days. Right. We met about a year ago. What made that the default choice and what's kept that all the way through? Why have you stayed on Claude?
Yeah, I think we were almost lucky to get started when Sonnet came out. Yeah. And I think in AI, I think everybody needs to sort of imagine the world 6 months ahead and build for that versus building for what's available today. Imagine the world from the lens of what is available and what's going to come next, right? So people who would have started with the previous generation of models would be solving a different problem versus us because for the first time, I think Sonnet had really good instruction following so that you could actually really imagine what long-running agents would look like. It was really good at programming. It was really good at front-end as well. And so that actually really gave us, a little bit of futuristic view of what the world of programming could look like and what could agentic programming look like. And our users are actually comparing us against a dev shop, right? So they're not comparing us against an IDE or a tool. And to them, outcome matters a lot, right? Yeah. And so we are really focused on what would give us the highest quality, what would give us the highest probability of getting to the right outcome versus a speed. Most of the other players who are focused on front end or design, to them, speed matters a lot. But for us and our users, what is important is that are they able to reach the outcome that they want? And that's why Opus has been sort of, our workhorse and it's really great at instruction following. And if you have the right tight feedback loops that we have been able to build using our multi-agent systems, you can actually keep them running for a much longer time. Today, our agents can run for hours trying to build the software. And we run very tight evals internally. And of course, you've been really helpful in helping us.
I know about your evals for sure.
Yeah. And I remember when we were about to launch, we had this 2 a.m. meeting just to
Yeah.
get started on things.
Totally. Well, I mean, so a lot of your engineers are in India. So one day when I was like, it was like Friday at 2 p.m. for us, and it was the middle of the night for you guys.
Right,
And I was
right.
like, oh, of course they're going to answer the next day. And then one of your engineers was like, oh yeah, let's get on a call in 15. And I was like,
Right.
is it not the middle of the night? So your team during YC built this internal coding agent. Maybe you didn't know what it would become. What did you learn from that? And like, what shows up today in the product? And then maybe what are learnings that like you really scrapped?
Yeah, I think our first insight was to really build an automated software engineering platform. You will have to own every layer of the stack,
Yep.
right? And you have to almost co-build the infrastructure to support your agent and an agent to sort of support the infrastructure. And at that time, everybody took this shortcut, hey, what is the third party that is available? Let's use that. When we started, like there were no good container technologies. We had to actually really invent and build sort of our own container technology on top of Kubernetes, which does disk snapshotting, memory snapshotting, so you could actually save the states and run parallel agents. And for us, what's been sort of really insightful has been that agent is the product, right, in many ways. And like the harness quality really matters. And we sort of build this multi-agent system. We were one of the first teams to sort of productionize it. And many learnings, including like how do you sort of save for memory, how do you do agent-to-agent communication, how do you do better context management, how do you effectively use caching to keep the cost down, and tightening all the feedback loops from the container and all of the infrastructure that you've built like is really important. The other thing that really was important to us from day one was to own the entire stack. Because the last mile is where like most solutions trip. We spend a lot of time just to make sure that our production quality is really high. And what you can see in the development environment is something that replicates in the production. And today, I think we're probably one of the deepest logs in app building space, and that allows us to sort of compound our learning. For example, like a lot of the errors actually don't show up in the dev side. Like they'll only show when your app is live and real users are using it. We're able to pipe all of that back to our development environment and allow our agents to learn. We also have built this, what we internally call long-term memory, where an agent is not just learning from within the user session, but is learning across all of the apps that are getting built. So first time it sees an error, a new error, or a new library upgrade, it's able to learn that and sort of do that in the next iteration in much less tokens with much more accuracy. So I think like building this co-agent and infrastructure together like has been really helpful for us.
And I guess because you own the whole stack, like up to the hosting as well, that gives you kind of all this proprietary data that you can feed into the next parts of the agent and the future of the agent.
Right.
How do you think about model selection, especially when your users can't debug the output?
I mean, a lot of the burden lies on us today, right? Like to make our users successful, and we take that very seriously, and that's what we are sort of extremely obsessed about. Like, how do we get users to success? A couple of months back, our deployment rates were 84%. Now it's closer to 98%. Cool. So 98% people on the platform were able to build something, are able to deploy to productions. That's been amazing, and that's just tightening all of these feedback loops, making sure that your agents are extremely reliable and self-learning. In terms of model, like the way we think about it, we are getting compared to a dev shop, right? So when a user comes to us, they're comparing us to like a $250,000 price point that they would have paid if they had gone and hired a dev shop. So they're not price sensitive. They're also not like latency sensitive that much because they're comparing us to a 3 months project that would have been executed outside. So we are very obsessed on the quality of the product and not so much about the cost as much. And so for us, like being on the frontier, the highest reasoning possible is something that we sort of index a lot on. Internally, we index a lot on like just highest quality output versus the fastest output.
Yeah.
And we are not trying to one-shot a solution. We're trying to build really reliable production-ready system that can be iterated upon. Instruction following should be really good because the error sort of compounds, and even small sort of errors as you run 10,000 steps, like they compound very quickly.
Totally.
And because the outcome matters the most, right? So we sort of rely on the best possible models for reasoning and coding abilities.
Yeah. I think that's been a through line that I've observed with you guys, where it's like you really put accuracy top, and like that's why you've had so much success. So this is a question we ask our founders often. The AI builder space has gotten a bit crowded. So curious to hear from you, what has Emergent built that's genuinely hard to replicate?
Yeah, I mean, I think first of all, like I think we're beginning of a very large market that's opening up, right? I think the market is actually growing faster than all of us can serve right now, right?
The pie is getting bigger.
Way bigger, way faster than all of us can serve right now. So we are actually not so much worried about like, hey, what is competition doing? What are labs doing? We just genuinely think that the market is so big and it is growing so fast that us being able to serve the customer that we want to serve is generally sort of really important. For us on the technical side, I think like our approach has always been to sort of really build very closely with the customer. So we understand our customer really well. What their needs are. For example, they really don't care about demos, front-end prototypes. They care about like real production use cases. They care about third-party integrations working. They care about payments getting through. They care about authentication working. A lot of our users, early on started uploading like really large files. So we had to sort of think about like, hey, how do we support large file systems on our production systems? They care about scalability. So when we write code, we make sure that these code are written in a horizontally scalable manner. So as traffic grows, the infrastructure sort of grows with them, right? For us, like I think the technical moat is one, our sort of agent quality, the harness quality is really, really strong and it's continuously evolving. Second is all of the proprietary data that we are collecting right now, right? I think all of that feeds into our long-term memory, feeds into, like our self-learning agents, feeds into our RL systems. And because we are solving only for one stack, we are almost like a vertical agent for coding because our users don't really care about what technical choices is being made. So they leave that onus on us. And we make the right choice for them. And we are solving for just one kind of tech stack. So that allows us to sort of really, really accelerate our sort of learnings on that tech stack. And lastly, I think the code generation is only 20% of the problem, right? Like the 80% of the problem is actually how do you take it to the deployment? How do you make sure it's maintained in production? How do you make sure that security is really, really high?
Yeah.
And we are solving for all of those deep infrastructure problem where, not only your code is written, but does it work in the dev environment? When it works in dev, does it replicate in the production? Do you have the feedback loop? And solving for the full stack is like really, really important for us.
Yeah, really cool. Yeah, I think one of the like early differentiators I saw from you guys is kind of that third point, building durable, reliable apps that can be built on later. It's for actual like business owners and not necessarily just people prototyping. And so I remember in one of our early calls, you were talking about you have your agent that initially builds the prototype or the product, but then you later have another agent that comes back and cleans up the code and makes it such that people can build on it later.
I mean, we take like code quality very seriously. So we have like refactoring agent that'll come and refactor your app. We have a post-deployment agent and a pre-deployment agent. They'll check for all security flaws. They'll sort of make sure that there are no key leakages, bunch of those things. And sort of approaching the problem from, the outcome first perspective, right? Like allows us to sort of really design the system for that. What do you think are most defensible moat? What are you seeing, you guys?
Yeah, this has always been true for startups. It's like deeply understanding your users and deeply like building a product that you can iterate on quickly that really captures your users' needs and problems. And then kind of related to that is like building a brand and a go-to-market strategy and a user experience like around those people that you understand so well. The second thing is like moats that intelligence alone can't overcome. And so that's like proprietary data or infrastructure, building in a highly regulated space. That's like something that like AI is not going to automate, compliance regulation fully soon. The final one is like human trust. And so like this is also in regulated spaces, but anywhere like human trust is not something that's going to be automated soon. So kind of these moats that model intelligence can't bridge that gap yet. And then the final thing, which I see you guys doing, it's the most exciting for me to see a customer do, is build a beautiful product right now, but then also build a product that's looking towards the future. We are seeing models consistently get better at longer horizon tasks, more autonomous tasks. And, a year and a half ago, someone probably didn't think Emergent's product could exist. Text to app builder, truly democratizing software, and then continuing to push that forward of like, okay, today we know a product like Emergent can exist. What's the next thing ahead of the frontier for the models?
Right. I mean, internally, we have actually rewritten our systems like 4 times over 9 months, right?
Yeah.
And we almost feel that with every new model launch, we have to sort of delete everything that we have learned so far and reimagine the world.
And I work with you on it.
Yeah, I mean, for example, Opus like really feels like a different class of model and much more capable of longer horizon tasks, especially like now we can have multiple agents coordinating on the same task.
Totally.
My belief has always been that, okay, every time like a new class model shows up, let's delete everything we have done. Let's reimagine the world from this lens of the new model. So I think that's been really, really helpful.
I'm curious to transition into like your users. So we've talked about how most of them have never written code. Who are these people and like what are they building? I'd love to hear some like user stories too.
Yeah, I mean, when we started, we thought that we were building for mostly like semi-technical users, right? It's going to be mostly program managers, product managers, designers who are going to use us initially. But we were surprised to see when we launched that, like a lot of our users were actually business operators who were using us to build serious applications. And essentially, we're actually built for like domain experts, people who really, really understand their domain really well, but never had the tools to express themselves, can now just come in and describe the problem in depth, and like agents will go and build the application for them. The gap between communication has been reduced. And build out and have this tight feedback loop to sort of iterate on the software themselves. And we have users across the globe, 190 countries, almost 7 million users. My favorite example is this user, Christy. She's in Alaska, and she is a clinical psychologist and also an equestrian coach. And she had been waiting for 10 years to sort of marry these two fields. And she had gone to a dev shop in Nova Scotia and got a quota of $50,000 to build this app and tried it with them, but it didn't sort of work out. Discovered Emergent, started building on it, has her app live on the App Store today. It's called EquiMind. And for the first time, she was able to marry these two fields of psychology and her sports coaching, has hundreds of users using it right now. And she was telling me that, I've been waiting for 10 years for this opportunity to sort of really build something. So we are building for small businesses today, right? Small businesses globally account for 70% of employment, accounts for 50% of GDP of the world, right? But they've never had the tools to sort of really express themselves because there are a million niches in small businesses, right? And traditionally, when you had SaaS world, they were forced to move up market for economic reason. But for the first time with AI, you can actually serve all of these million niches at zero marginal cost. And that's what we're trying to enable, really empower these small businesses to sort of accelerate their businesses.
What do you think Emergent looks like a year from now? What are you most excited to build next?
Yeah, I think a year is a long time.
Yeah, in this world, it
Yeah. I think all of us have seen that meter chart where, the long horizon agents are going to be. For us, the market segment is really clear. We want to serve these small, medium businesses. We want to serve new entrepreneurs. So we are very, very focused on making them successful. Yeah. We're coming out with a new agent, which we think is significantly better than existing ones. One of the other things that we are really, really excited about is, with especially long horizon agents coming online, we especially think that there is a way for us to automate all of the businesses, operations for small businesses. We want to move from software to sort of actually automating their entire business and allow for this autonomous businesses to happen on the platform. So we are very soon launching a new product. We're very excited about it. It's called Wingman. It's kind of agents for businesses. Cool. And it's going to automate all of your business processes, including finances, including operations, sales, marketing. 2026 is going to be a year where people start automating large part of their businesses. And Emergent wants to be the platform for businesses to come and automate all of their businesses on top of us.
Well, thank you for being here today, Mukund. It's been such a pleasure having you.
Thanks for having me. It's been a great chat. Thank you so much.